A significant diplomatic moment unfolded this week as Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited China for the first time in 7 years, attending the Shanghai Cooperation Organization summit in Tianjin. The timing of this visit has captured international attention, coming just weeks after the United States imposed steep 50% tariffs on Indian goods. The SCO summit brought together leaders from China, Russia, India, and several other nations in what observers describe as one of the most watched diplomatic gatherings of the year.
At a fractious time,
Modi's presence alongside Chinese President Xi Jinping and Russian President Vladimir Putin created striking visual symbolism, with the three leaders appearing together in photographs that quickly went viral on social media. The backdrop to Modi's China visit is a significant deterioration in US-India trade relations. President Trump has imposed a 50% tariff on Indian exports, citing India's continued purchases of Russian oil as justification. This places India among the countries facing the highest US tariff rates alongside Brazil. The economic stakes are substantial. India exports nearly $87 billion worth of goods to the United States annually, making America India's largest single export partner. These tariffs are expected to particularly impact sectors like pharmaceuticals, textiles, gems and jewelry, and engineering goods. During the summit, Xi Jinping told Modi that the right choice for their countries was to be friends rather than rivals. Both leaders emphasized the importance of stable bilateral relations for regional and global peace. However, analysts note that significant challenges remain between the two Asian giants. India and China maintain heavy military presence along their 2,100-mile disputed border, and underlying tensions persist from their deadly 2020 border conflict. The relationship has been gradually normalizing since Modi and Xi met at the BRICS summit in Russia last October. Trump's reaction to Modi's China visit was notably dismissive. In a social media post, he called the US-India trade relationship a totally one-sided disaster and claimed that India had offered to reduce its tariff to zero on US goods, though he said it was getting late for such offers. Meanwhile, US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent downplayed concerns about the summit, describing it as performative. However, experts suggest the improving India-China relations reflect both countries' desire to hedge against US unpredictability. India's response has been defiant, with Trade Minister Piyush Goyal stating that India will neither bow down nor ever appear weak and will focus on attracting new markets. However, economic realities present challenges. Think tank estimates suggest Indian exports to the US could fall from $86.5 billion to about $50 billion by 2026 due to the tariffs, potentially endangering hundreds of thousands of jobs in labor-intensive sectors like textiles and gems. The summit highlights the complex balancing act facing middle powers in an increasingly multipolar world. While Modi's visit to China signals India's willingness to explore alternative partnerships, analysts note that India's traditionally cautious foreign policy approach suggests this represents strategic hedging rather than a fundamental realignment away from the West. The challenge for all parties will be managing these relationships as global trade tensions continue to reshape diplomatic and economic alliances.